You're listening to the Business to Bigness Road to 6 Billion podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Love. Since 2011, I've helped over 500 entrepreneurs and small businesses brand and launch successful companies while helping them obtain over 20 million in funding. In addition to that, I have funded and co-funded over 5 companies that have growth between 7 and 8 figures in revenue. Today, I focus most of my time teaching, training, and mentoring the next generation of entrepreneurs, small business owners, and creative talent. That's why I created Business to Bigness Road to 6 Billion, a weekly podcast that will take you on my journey to achieving my 6 billion goal while sharing my experiences and perspectives in order to educate you in the areas of branding, funding, business development, mindset, and more. You may be wondering why 6 billion? 6 is my life path number. It's the amount of people I want to impact, and it's the wealth I'd like to achieve in this lifetime. So whether you're working on your first 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, billion, or even trillion, this podcast is for you. To submit questions or request information on a specific topic, receive updates, or contact me, visit www.chloelove.com and subscribe to my email list. Without further ado, let's get to business. Hello, my Clovers, and welcome to another episode of Business to Bigness, Road to 6 Billion podcast. I am your host, Chloe Love. Today's episode is titled, There is No Such Thing as Self-Made. We're going to get into it because that's something that really sits in my soul. And as you know, we start every episode with a quote, and the quote goes, There is no such thing as a self-made man. We are all made up of thousands of each other. Everyone who has ever done a kind deed for us or spoken one word of encouragement to us has entered into the makeup of our character and of our thoughts, as well as our success. George Matthew Adams. When I hear this self-made, I wonder where it came from. I also wonder what the ambition behind wanting to show up and tell everybody, look, I did it and I did it alone. Like, where does that come from? Because that's a deeper, emotional issue that has to be treated, of why you feel like you have to show up and then disregard everything that you've gone through or everything that, has played a key role in you being who you are. And having to say, I did it. It was me alone. I wonder if people feel like because you had help, that makes the success less your own, or the impact of the role that you played less than. And I would beg to differ. It's the exact opposite. You see, when people believe in you or they believe in the vision, they're more readily to show up and play a key role in making that come true. So the more people that actually want to help, the more people that want to get involved, means the more impactful whatever that goal or that solution is that you're trying to deliver is to the minds of others. Not being self-made is actually a compliment, because it speaks to how much people believe in what you're doing and you as a person. Not being able to recognize that a smile, a job, someone who came before you to do a thing, the marketing team that you're working with, the friend who may sit up that allows you to, bounce ideas off of them. Not being able to recognize those things is a bigger issue, and it's something that I urge anybody who's looking to be successful at anything, I don't care what industry you're in, to heal or try to heal before putting yourself out there. I'm not saying you don't have to be careful, and I'm not saying there aren't levels to where you need to do certain things by yourself. There are. In the part of materializing the vision, what it is that you want to do, why you want to do it, how you want to do it, those are things that you need to figure out on your own. This is your vision, this is your goal, this is your business, this is your brand. So if anybody has to be happy with it, even if no one else agrees with certain things, you have to be. So in those things, yes, that has to be self-made. You have to make up the foundation of what it is that you want to do, or why you're doing it, or how you're doing it. But even the how is something that can be flexible as long as the what doesn't change. So there are parts where you are going to be self-made in that sense, because whatever it is that you're putting up that people want to get involved in, that's successful, it was made from your mindset. It was made from your imagination. It was made from your necessity, like my branding journal, right? I know y'all be thinking that it's like a shameless plug, but it really isn't. I made this because I couldn't find anything that served all those parts. I made the branding handbook because I felt like people I don't feel like I know entrepreneurs do not take branding as serious as they need to. And they're up here crying about why their businesses are failing, why they're not scaling, why they don't have the visibility. You're not branding properly, or you don't understand what the foundation of branding is. So, from a necessity, I made the book, I created the course, and because I was so focused on what the goal is, I was flexible to how I was going to serve to that message. So, I'm booked for workshops. I work with other brands outside of my own to bring that voice to the platform. I'm creating this podcast, right? So I'm flexible in how I'm able to serve that goal. But the goal is for people to have the knowledge, the tools, the resources. I wrote a book. I'm flexible in the ideas. I wasn't going to write a book. Somebody encouraged me to. Somebody said, hey, I think you should write a book. Hey, I think you should create a course. And as you know, in my last episodes, I spoke about imposter syndrome. I had to overcome those things with the help of others, right? With the help of my community, with the help of tools and research that I've done, with actionable steps I put into place that I learned from somewhere else. That's all the things that make up who I am and how I'm able to show up. So even though the concept of something is self-made, the success is never self-made. It is impossible. Because as the great quote says, we're made up of thousands of each other. Thousands of thoughts, successes, failures. Even in the DNA of who we are, we come from, thousands of years ago of people who we're related to. So there's no such thing as self-made. It's impossible. Even when I think about success, to think of success and self-made is lonely. That sounds like agony. That sounds like, why did that happen to you? And I want us to be comfortable with saying, yes, this was my idea. Yes, this was a great idea. Yes, it's impactful. It's something I'm proud of. But I'm here because of those who believed in it, those who played a key role in making this happen, those who supported me when I doubted myself, those who, when you see me stand here, I'm not standing here as one, I'm standing here as a collective of those. Be comfortable in that. It doesn't make you less valuable. As a matter of fact, you just expanded upon how much you have to offer because you have this great network of people around you. You're going to be able to share stories like I did before. When I spoke about Jordan, who said to me, don't talk about my friend like that. I'm able to share those stories. My friend Sasha, Cutie Sash, is here right now while I'm recording this podcast. She's here with me every time I record these podcasts. So even though I'm showing up, I'm your host, Chloe Love, you're going to see her name in the credits as one of the producers. She's fleshing everything out with me. She's allowing me to bounce ideas off of her. She's doing research for these amazing quotes. We're fleshing out this information. And even though I'm the deliverer, it's not self-made, because even the information, the quotes that I'm given, They're quotes that inspire me from other people. Some of them are mine, some of them aren't. A lot of them aren't. Because the purpose of this is bigger than me. Like I said in the last episode, when overcoming imposter syndrome, it's not about thinking about yourself as less. It's about thinking about yourself less. Focus on the goal. Focus on being important by doing the important thing versus looking important, right? And who's watching. Once you focus on the goal, you'll get to where you have to go, right? And you're going to get there in the way that you need to, and you're going to get there in a place of impact, but you're not going to be able to do it alone. That's impossible. It's impossible to do it as great as you want to and do it alone. I remember reading the story of the woman who created Spanx. And she said, when you do have a great idea, keep it dear to your heart for a while. Because the thing about where people come, the thing where people come from with self-made is that sometimes you have an idea and a vision for something. Maybe you can't articulate it well, or maybe people may self-reflect on the things that they find in their limitations and tell you it's going to be hard to try to deter you. And some people look at it as they're being haters, but honestly, sometimes that's the only way some people know how to help you is by saying, you know what, let me tell you not to do this thing because this thing is hard and I don't want you to, go through that journey. And for some people that's them doing good by you. It's the perspective. You can't let any of those things taint you. You just need to serve whatever the goal is. Stay true to whatever the destination or whatever the target is that you wanna do or accomplish. And I think when people are met with those things, they're driven by the ambition of, I'm going to show them. I'm going to do this and throw this in everybody's face. And to be driven by that is the worst thing. My friend sent me this Instagram by a young lady, and she was talking about people who show up for the haters, and they're doing great things, but they're fueling it from a place of anger and hate because of someone who may have told them that they wasn't going to be able to do it. Now the thing about that is once that fizzles out, what are you motivated by? It makes no sense. Be motivated by those who are around you, those who show up in a place of love, those who show up in a place of support, and be proud of that. Because that speaks volumes of who you are and your value. There is no such thing as self-made. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. When you see those lists, just don't even read it. These are people who are doing good, who had a great idea that maybe they came up with by themselves, and then even that. You don't come up with anything by yourself because it still serves from something else. I came up with this journal by myself in the sense of I couldn't find anything with all the components that I wanted, but I didn't come up with the technology of journaling. It still stems from somewhere else. And even if I came up with a different way to do it, it still stems from something someone else did. Cause and effect. Because cause and effect exists, there can never be anything that is self-made. There has to be a beauty in success not being an island of isolation, but instead a community of like-minded people thriving. Because if you're successful, right? Or even when you're on your journey to success, there are people that you want to have around you. There are people that when you get there, you're like, I can't imagine being at the top and Tamika not next to me, and Shani not next to me, and Sasha not next to me, and Ashley not next to me, Jordan. There's so many people that you're like, I can't imagine being there without them. And that's because they're playing a key role in your success. That's because you're able to show up that way because of those people. That's what it means not to be self-made. My friend Tasha, who's another person who she does my nails. So every time you see my nails on here popping, shout out to Genesis Glam Bar. That's who's doing my nails. I will show you my feet too because her pedicures are touched, hands down. Everybody's like, nobody can do a pedicure like her. But that's another story. She's also someone who has played such a supportive role in my spiritual journey, my emotional journey, my physical journey. Like, this is a woman who I could be up here and complain. This woman has 3 kids, first of all, single mother, right? And I could be sitting up here like, oh, I'm hungry. I want this thing. And she will make it and drive from her side of town to my side of town and bring it to me. Yes, I'm a little spoiled, but I'm grateful for it. You know why? Because I'm not self-made. They're making me, show up in this way. And she sent me something from her church lately, and it just really it sparked me to actually do this episode. And the pastor was saying, Jesus was able to do the things that he wanted to do because he had some crazy friends. There's no such thing as self-made. You got to have those crazy friends. So I was like, wow, what a way to, roll that out. That was really cool. And she goes in to say, like, when I think it was, I don't know exactly who's who. So if I'm wrong, don't ridicule me. Don't crucify me. But the story is, I believe it was Paul or Peter who had some land and they needed to fund this mission, Jesus and the other disciples, but they ain't had no money. So Peter went and sold the land and brought back the money to the fold. Although Jesus is the face of the movement, everybody's playing their role to push him forward. And that's the type of friends you want to have. You want to have those friends who, when you don't know how, you don't know where, they're like, well, let's figure it out together. Or let me do my part to make sure that, this person is still moving forward. Let me be there emotionally to make sure this person is still moving forward physically, financially, however I need to be, because I believe in this person. That's the type of people you got to surround yourself with. She went on to speak about when Jesus was feeling low and he couldn't do it no more. They didn't put him to the back and say, all right, you know what, Paul, it's your turn. Jesus is down and out. We need a new star. They didn't do that. They poured into him so that he can continue to show up as the face of their mission. Things did go left at the end of this story, but let's talk about the positive parts of why having loyal friends with integrity that are crazy when it comes to the vision of your success and your capabilities is important, because there are times where that imposter syndrome may kick in. It may sneak in, and you're going to be going through it, because whenever you're trying to accomplish something big, you're going to get hit from many angles. Anyone who tells you different is lying. You're going to be hit from many angles, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally. You understand? So you're going to need people who can serve to those things to pack you up and put you back out there, bandage you up real quick, address those wounds, help you through it. And that's what they did for him, So you got to have those crazy friends who they don't know how, they don't know when, how, why. They just know it's happening and they know that you got the juice. So they here to pour into you. You need those people. You need those people. Even if you have one, you're not self-made. Because that one person that's helping you through that, whether they didn't put no money up, whether they didn't write out the ideas, whether they didn't patent it for you or whatever, they still played a key role in your success. So people don't go crazy over being self-made or what that means or the value that it gives your brand. It's not possible. It doesn't exist. And honestly, if that's what's happening, then if that's what's happening and you're successful, either the way that you were explaining it was something that didn't connect, which may be a branding issue, or you were too afraid to share it with anyone. So maybe you executed the steps, funded it yourself, put it out there, but somebody marketed for you. Whether you did it through Facebook ads, Facebook is a part of your success because they built an outlet for you to show up the way that you did. Everybody's in this journey together. When we show up at our best in a place of leadership, it's because the people put us there. They believed in what our visions were. They believed in what we offered them, and they gave us the opportunity to be this. So be humble in it, be grateful in it. You know, I don't think I finished my story with the Spanx lady. I think I went off on a tangent, but basically the Spanx lady was saying keep it there to yourself until you put it out the way that you want. So the prototype, right? Not put it out into market. You can't do that either, right? Get the prototype the way you want it to function, the way you want it to make people feel. Get it the way you want it to before saying anything, because what's going to happen is people are not only going to put their projections of what they can do, what they don't, they're going to try to change your idea. And that's where it's important that you keep it as your idea. Build it out to your likings, to your happiness, not to perfectionism, because that doesn't exist, but to the functionality of what you want it to do. And at that point, and only at that point, when you have a full thing to deliver, this idea, this, in some cases, prototype, even if an idea is fleshed out and this is how it's going to function, because it may not be a tangible thing, it may be a service, it may not be a physical thing, it may be a service, it's still at that point a prototype, right? If the prototype is that I'm going to create this podcast, this is what these episodes are going to look like, this is what I'm going to talk about, this is what the segment, that's the prototype, that's the layout for it. So until you have a finished something, then don't share it unless you're unsure of what you fully want it to be. But if you know what you want it to be, you're very strict on that. Do not share it until you have the prototype, like the Spanx lady did. But now when you get the prototype, you're going to need your community. You're going to need your close people to give you feedback on that before you launch to the unforgiven world. You know what I mean? So even with that, once your friends are trying this on and saying, hey, this is what my feedback is, that's helping you. That's no longer self-made. Yes, you made this thing they're trying on, but their feedback for you to make adjustments, their feedback for you to know how to market it. The things they're telling you that were their favorites, you know, are keywords and emotional connections when you're branding it. That's pouring into you. That's helping you show up and be number one in your market. That is not being self-made. At some point in your journey, there's going to be a collective of people that are going to help you catapult to your success. Where it happens, it's different for everybody. But the fact is that it does happen. And when it does happen, be grateful that you have people that want to show up for you that way. You know, I go back to the crazy friends, and I'm grateful for my crazy friends. I'm so happy that I have them. They're in my gratitude journal all the time. I am blessed within that. You know, I even move past lucky. I'm like, I am blessed within the women that I have in my life. If you've heard any of my speeches, if you've heard, you know, if you've come into any of my award ceremonies, you hear me talk about them all the time because there's no shame in it. I'm so grateful that I'm blessed to have them because I'm showing up like this for you guys because I have them. My mom, everybody know my mama's girl. My mama said, my mom is one of the biggest reasons of why I show up like this. My biggest cheerleader. You could do anything. Hey, mama, I want to, drop out of my career after my second master's and move into the music industry. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Well, what is it going to take? Let me get back to you on that. Ma, I found a place. I got a team. And I believe in this. This is what it is. This is how you can get involved. I had a finished product. I had a plan. I took actionable steps. Now I'm showing better than just talking. So she can get on board with that and she can support. Sometimes we take people hating for people hating instead of listening to the advice. Sometimes it's that we haven't showed up. We haven't given them anything to believe in. You know, some people, they talk a good one, but there's no actions. So if you keep talking and people are like, I heard it all before, Sunshine Anderson, you're going to start to build resentment, but you're not reflecting on why they're giving you that energy. So self-reflect, make sure you're showing up, make sure you're doing the actionable things. Create your prototype. Make sure it's the way that you want it to be, not just, mouth. Show up with something that people can support. and watch how they do. Those who believe in you will. Surround yourself with those crazy friends who see the light at the end of the tunnel when your eyes are closed and all you can see is darkness. Surround yourself with those people. It's not always about a thing that they could do for you or a skill that they have. You want to be around skillful people who are in your field, yeah, but your crazy friends are there to carry you when you cannot walk anymore, when you cannot continue the journey. They're there to keep you tunnel vision, focused. When your mind is going to all these other places, some of them dark, some of them are just like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm a Jupiterian, right? So in the carnal realm, they say I got ADHD or ADD. So my mind is like, oh, let me do this podcast. I should write a movie. You know what I mean? Focus. So you need people in your life who understands not just your strengths, but your weaknesses as well, to keep that in check for you. Can't do it alone. Not when you're trying to do something great. There's no such thing as self-made. And that's how we're going to wrap this episode. Self-reflect, build, put things out there, give people a reason to believe. And if they still don't, it's fine. Keep going. You're gonna get to who needs to hear it and who's gonna show up the way you need them to. So let's move into this affirmation for the episode, and that is, I am so grateful that the harder I work, the more people are willing to help my journey to success. I am so grateful that the harder I work, the more people are willing to help my journey to success. Until next time, Clovers, peace out. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Make sure to go to my website, www.chloelove.com, and join my subscriber list to receive emails where I share tips, updates, opportunities, and discounts to my community. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Chloe Love. Check the show notes for the links, and don't forget to tune into next week's episode. Until then, remember, you can't have $1 million goals with $1,000 skills and $100 worth ethics.